Hello, welcome to my presentation. So, I chose an extract from Grey's Anatomy as corpus analysis, in which two characters, Amelia and Maggie, talk about racism. The video is 3 minutes long, but I think it's best if we watch it now and then I just transcribe the relevant parts.
Owen wouldn't tell you anything.
He just shut me out. I don't know why. And then
I'm afraid I might have been racist. God, I hate this day. Okay, back it up.
oh, good. I can talk to you about this. I am worried I offended Edwards. I need you to tell me.
Why me? Because I'm your sister?
Yes?
Or because I'm your sister?
No, this is exactly what I was worried about. Okay.
What do you think you did?
I don't think I did anything, but I think she thinks I did.
Amelia, use your words. Did what?
Sided with Wilson over her because she's black, which I didn't do. I think... God, I hate that this is even an issue all of a sudden.
Well, it's not an issue for you. And it's not all of a sudden. I mean, okay, it's not Mississippi burning or anything, but it is all over. It's when people assume I'm a nurse. Or when I go to get on an airplane with my first class ticket and they tell me that they're not boarding coach yet. It's like a low buzz in the background, and sometimes you don't even notice it, and sometimes it's loud and annoying, and sometimes it can get dangerous, and sometimes it is ridiculous, like right now.
It's not funny. I mean, if I'm doing it and I don't even notice it.
Then notice it. Look, did Edwards tell you that she's okay?
Yes.
Okay. Then don't give her the extra work of having to make you feel good about it.
Right. Okay, but how do I know that she's
Because she knows you. Okay, so listen to the words that are coming out of her mouth and believe them. This is not a small thing. And I'm glad that you feel like you can talk to me about it, but I don't speak for all black people. I am not the spokeswoman. No one is. And it is kind of annoying to be asked questions like I am. But one piece of advice that I can give you that I think we would all agree with is that if you feel uncomfortable having done it, check your white privilege and don't do it again.
So first I will begin by defining discourse. So discourse is a kind of language which has been used to communicate something and is felt to be coherent. So discourse is language in use for communication. Then discourse analysis is the analysis of language which looks at patterns across texts as well as the social and cultural context in which texts occur. Discourse analysis deals with at least 3 components: a language, a practice, and a context. Now, language refers to the semiotic material in the broadest sense. Practice refers to the specific ways of appropriating and processing language and everything that may come between the participants in interaction. And context refers to the setting, the situation, or knowledge available to the participants. Now, in this situation, which I chose this quote to be the sample, the quote would be the language component from a discourse analysis perspective. So it is listen to the words that are coming out of her mouth and believe them. This is a quote that Maggie says to Amelia. And in practice, Maggie is telling Amelia to listen to Black people and believe them when they're telling her that her behavior was inappropriate or wrong. Because, Maggie said, Amelia is white and she has white privilege and she can be racist without even noticing. And in the context in which this happens all the time in the world, this this knowledge is, I mean, it transcends the situation, so it is situation transcendent, and it is shared by a large collective. And then from discourse theory studies the symbolical constitution of society from a macro-sociological perspective. And it deals with three components: power, knowledge, and subjectivity. According to, I mean, discourse theorists say that social relations are affected by discursive practices. So in a world where white people have power over black people, this will affect their social relations, and it will be seen in discourse. So when Amelia says, I hate that this is an issue all of a sudden, she can say that because she's white and she has never had an issue with racism before. So to her, it's an issue now, all of a sudden, right? And that is how her white privilege is seen in her discourse. And that is why Maggie says it's not an issue for you and it's not all of a sudden, right? This has been happening for a long time. And then we have critical discourse analysis and conversation analysis. So critical discourse analysis studies how social power abuse and inequality are enacted, reproduced, legitimated, and resisted in text and talk in the social and political context. So, according to critical discourse analysis, power is a characteristic of groups who can more or less control the minds and acts of members of other groups. And this can be applied to media because TV shows have access to scarce social resources such as money, fame, public discourses, and communication. And in a way, they can more or less control the minds of the viewers, right? So when we watch a TV show where in which a black woman teaches a white woman about racism, and the white woman listens and learns, we accept it as normal, and then we will accept it in our daily lives. And so this is a way in which discourse can resist social inequality. So I would like to mention that the creator of Grey's Anatomy is a black woman. So obviously she uses her show and the characters in the show to speak up about important issues, right? And she's giving them power in giving them a voice. And because the recipients, and in this case it's the viewers, we believe what credible sources tell us. And for us, the show is a credible source. So we will apply what we see in the show in our lives. And on a different note, critical discourse analysis also studies how mental models can be manipulated. So when Amelia says, I don't think I did anything, but I think she thinks I did, she's presenting the situation without taking any responsibility for her actions. So in that way, she's manipulating Maggie to believe that she did nothing wrong, right? When she says, I'm afraid I might have been racist, she's saying it like she couldn't have avoided it when she could have. and she needs to change her actions. And then conversation analysis. So conversation analysis studies human interaction in society. It focuses on turn-taking, sequencing of action, repair of misunderstandings, among other elements in conversation. And its objective is to understand how interactants build mutually intelligible courses of action. So how do interactants understand each other? And well, Maggie and Amelia have known each other for a very long time, and they share knowledge. They have a common ground of knowledge. So when Maggie says Owen and Amelia says Edwards, for example, they both know who their interlocutor is referencing. And that's one of the ways in which they understand each other. Okay, moving on to systemic functional linguistics and interactional sociolinguistics. So systemic functional linguistics says that people interact in order to make meanings, to make sense of the world and of each other. So Maggie is explaining racism to Amelia because she thinks that it's important to let Amelia know that it happens all the time and that it's a huge part of the lives of Black people. And Amelia doesn't even know that because she's white. She's never lived that. So Maggie is trying to make meanings between them in this way. Systemicists divide context into register and genre. And register has 3 variables: field, tenor, and mode. So the field in this conversation is racism in everyday life and how to act accordingly. Tenor is friendly because they're best friends and they can say whatever comes to their minds without fear of being judged. But at the same time, it's serious because they're talking about a serious topic and a very important topic. And mode is spoken. Then interactional sociolinguistics studies our ability to interpret what interactants intend to convey in their communicative practice. So all communication is intentional and grounded in inferences that depend upon the assumption of mutual good faith. So interactional sociolinguistics studies how individuals use talk to achieve their communicative goals. And they do this, among other ways, basing themselves on background assumptions, taken for granted assumptions. So when Amelia says, "All right, I can talk to you about this," she's assuming, she's drawing from her background assumptions that Maggie can help her because she's Black and she had a problem with a Black coworker. But then, like, Maggie tells her, I'm not the spokeswoman for every Black person, right? So this is a false assumption. And on Maggie's part, she wasn't there when the situation happened to say whether Amelia was racist or not. But she knows from her background assumptions that white people can be racist a lot of times without even noticing. So that's why she chooses to teach Amelia how not to repeat that that action and to check her white privilege because she knows that she was probably racist. And lastly, we have multimodal discourse analysis, which is a kind of analysis of discourse which looks at other modes other than spoken or written. And one of those other modes is visual mode. But first, I wanted to say something about this, about ideology and text, which I thought was interesting. It is from Cress's text, and it says that ideology is the name for the specific configuration of discourses present in any one text. And text is the material site of emergence of material discourses. So when we apply it to this sample, I can say that racist ideology is present when people assume that Maggie is a nurse because she's black and she's not a doctor, right? She's actually a surgeon, but people have racist ideology, so they assume that she's a nurse. And then this ideology can emerge in discourse, in text, when they tell her that they're not boarding coach yet, when Maggie approaches the line to board first class, right? People assume that because she's black, she doesn't fly first class. And they tell her that they're not boarding coach yet. So that's a representation of how discourse is text is the site of emergence of ideology. And then regarding the visual mode, so we have visual composition, which expresses different ideational relationships between the participants. So the way that the characters appear on the screen is telling us something that the director wanted to convey through the visual mode. So what I can say is that they're both standing up, and they both appear to be the same height. So in that way, they are equal. They appear as equals. But Maggie has more screen time. And this is obviously because she is the one speaking about the important issue that is racism. And obviously the director wanted her to be the center of attention of the conversation, while Amelia appears merely as a listener most of the time. Okay, and that was it. Thank you for listening. It was very entertaining for me to make this. I hope that it was entertaining to watch. Okay. Goodbye.